You know, you guys, as we slowly approach the 2022 postseason, while yes, the playoff picture is finally starting to solidify itself more and more with each and every week, there still only seems to be a handful of teams, if that most of us would actually consider true Super Bowl contenders. And either whenever I get into a conversation about this or see one unfolding over the internet, it seems that very few times, if ever, do I hear the Cincinnati Bengals a part of that conversation. Because, well, even with being a top 5 team in the NFL record-wise, and also very arguably being one of the hottest teams across the entire league at this current point, whether some of the lack of recognition is meant to be intentional or not, a lot of people just seem to be overlooking some specific factors of this team that could very well end up pushing them to a repeat Super Bowl appearance this year, so let's get into it. One sec though, guys, if you haven't yet, don't forget to like the video if you do enjoy, subscribe, and turn on those notifications to never miss another NFL video. But before we go any further, today's video is brought to you by our friends at AG1, also known as Athletic Greens. AG1 is an all-in-one nutritional drink that I've been taking daily for a few weeks now, as it's quickly become the easiest way for me to meet all my health needs without the hassle of taking so many pills and supplements. Because with being made from the highest quality ingredients and packing over 75 vitamins, minerals, whole-sourced foods, and even probiotics into each serving, whether you're looking to assist your healthy lifestyle, maybe enhance recovery, or even just feel like an all-around better version of yourself, AG1 might just be exactly what you need. And also, with it being the holiday season, if you go down through the link in our bio, you can get yourself a 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D3K2, and even 5 additional travel packs of AG1 for free with your first purchase. Once again, be sure to go down to the link in our bio to get your hands on the foundation of daily health in AG1. Now, to get back on topic with the Cincinnati Bengals, if you were somehow one of the people that thought this Cincinnati team, who just about exceeded every expectation possible last season, who also started this season with a very surprising 2-3 record out of the gate, were just looking to be done with their quote-unquote miracle run that some people called it, well, either you were very mistaken or you just haven't paid that much attention to this team over the last 2 years. Because with their seemingly league-best midseason turnaround, if there's anything you want to point to that speaks to the mass amount of success that Cincy has showed us over the last couple of weeks, as you would expect, it would be the passing attack. And I do know that if we were to just show you the overall numbers produced from this aspect of the offense, it would probably be enough to convince you, but just trust me, it doesn't tell the full story. And if you thought the difference or the evolvement of the offense was going to be due in large part to the increased production that we've been seeing from the most dominant wide receiver trio in the league in Ja'Marr Chase, Tyler Boyd, and T. Higgins, it's actually not. In fact, while the numbers they are putting up this season are very similar to what we saw from them last year, they're actually technically down when you compare them side by side. And this, while it sure as hell doesn't sound like it when you say it, is one of the best things that could have happened to this team, because it's one of the big reasons as to why we're seeing their quarterback play at a higher level than he ever has. And Bengals fans, you will clearly know this better than anyone else watching this video, but aside from all of the sunshine and roses that people typically see at the top of your wide receiver depth chart, but when you actually try to look for the depth, it hasn't always been there, especially when you're considering last year in terms of target options and production. However, this year, it has clearly been a different story. And I mean, for starters, aside from the very overlooked acquisition of tight end Hayden Hurst, who has very quickly worked his way up to being a top 3 option for Burrow in some situations and has fit in seamlessly for Uzomah in this offense. And then, of course, there's also the finally seeming solidified 4th option at wide receiver on this team in Trenton Irwin, who has bursted onto the seams over the last couple of weeks. Now, before you rush to the comments to make fun of me, while I'm not trying to say that both Trenton Irwin and Hayden Hurst, while clearly with the numbers they've put up so far this year, are individual game changers on this offense, their presence and even just the ability to be viable options in itself adds a level of unpredictability to the Bengals that they've really never had. And honestly, I don't think anything speaks more to that fact than the Bengals missing their top guy in Ja'Marr Chase for over a month in the middle of this season, and their offense just just continuing to operate as if it was at full strength. But yes, while this depth of both Hurst and Irwin have clearly helped Cincinnati in specific situations, I personally don't think anything else plays a larger role into the evolvement of the offense than how both Zac Taylor and Joe Burrow are utilizing the running back position arguably better than we've ever seen them do it. And again, I'm sure some of you are saying, what in the world is this guy talking about, especially when you consider that Cincinnati has the 26th most utilized ground game in all of football right now. But obviously, it's not necessarily about how much you actually use them on the ground, more so it's about how you get them involved with what works for you, and Zac Taylor has finally cracked that code. Now, a few months prior this season, we made a video here on the channel discussing how the Cincinnati Bengals in the middle of the year decided to switch their offense to almost a solely shotgun operated one, and well, while that information might seem useless to you, it's in fact the biggest reason as to why both Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine on any given snap add an unstoppable factor to this side of the ball. And yes, this, for the most part, is the passing attack. And with saying this, it's not just like their numbers slightly improved in this regard. No, they are both putting up career bests side by side, and it's really not even close. And to touch back on their extensive use of shotgun sets, if it wasn't already enough of a nightmare for opposing defenses to have to worry about all of the deep threats scattered throughout this team, with the Bengals now incorporating many more checkdown option plays for Burrow, which coincides with the much improved offensive line play this year, it's something that Cincinnati definitely wanted to do more frequently in the past, but couldn't necessarily afford to do it this much until now. And then even to touch on the actual ground game aspect in itself, while they are also doing this mostly out of shotgun formation, while having relatively the same level of efficiency this season compared to what they were doing last, having the defenses play a game of pick your poison as to whether they're going to get hit with a deep ball, an RPO, a check down, or even just a run straight up the gut is pretty much as close to the true definition of unpredictable as you can get, and again, it's a big reason as to why we're seeing the improvement out of Joe Burrow. But then there's also the defense, which if there's anything about Cincinnati that doesn't get mentioned or given credit enough, it would definitely be this, who, while to the eye test of some, might not seem like they've made a monumental improvement from being a middle of the pack unit on this side of the ball last year. If you don't trust me when I tell you this, the numbers might just end up convincing you. And yes, while I'm well aware that there is still definitely some areas of improvement that Bengals fans would absolutely love to see on this side of the ball, but the improvement that we have seen from their defense really plays into shutting down the biggest jab that I've seen people enjoy taking at this Bengals team when they try to say that most of their wins this season, especially as of recently, have not been very convincing, or that this team lacks the ability to get the job done. And to this, I'll say that with some of the sluggish starts to dominant victories that we've seen from Cincinnati over the course of this season, and vice versa, I'll just say that sometimes you'd rather see your team battle-tested in situations like this than absolutely blow the brakes off all of your opponents on a week-in and week-out basis. And you guys could completely disagree with that. I would love to hear what you think in the comments down below, but will this end up preparing them for a potential repeat Super Bowl appearance? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Nonetheless though, you guys, as I kinda just mentioned, I am of course extremely curious to hear what you all have to think about the Bengals situation. So please be sure to let me know in the comments what has been the most surprising part to you about this very impressive mid-season turnaround that we've seen Cincy on over the last couple of weeks. And also, if you had to, give me a prediction for the Bengals' final record heading into the postseason and how far you actually see them making it. But again, you guys, if you haven't yet, don't forget to drop a like on the video down below if you enjoyed, and of course, subscribe while you're down there. As mentioned, we got brand new NFL videos coming out every single week around here, so trust me, you don't want to miss it. But also, I just wanted to say thank you so much to each and every one of you out there for watching. I appreciate you all more than anything. You all know this, and I will see you guys in the next video.